Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A little bit different video format here. If you're new, I'm Donna, and I typically do like mountain bike videos and sometimes throw in a little bit of like ATV racing type stuff. But today is going to be a little bit different. I wanted to kind of share what I've been going through, and it's been about a month since I've posted a video. I have plenty to go through just with all the stuff I've been going through the last 2 months. Energy levels and stuff have been down, just productivity, everything's been affected, including my mountain biking, riding as well. So I'll just cut right to the chase because I'm gonna try and make this video as short as possible, but pack it in with like a ton of like information. So January 22nd, I had surgery. To be specific, I had explant surgery, and what that is when they remove your breast implants. And so this all came about in like this huge whirlwind. It was like super fast. The overall experience wasn't super fast. I've been dealing with symptoms and stuff for probably about 2 years, but once I found out about the breast implant illness, and the ball got rolling, it was like less than 3 weeks, like boom, bang, boom. So I guess that would be bing, bang, boom. So let's go with where to start. Like 2 years ago, symptoms like sporadic, inconsistent, very non-specific is the best way I can describe it. Like they fell under a broad range of possibilities. And so I didn't put too much thought process into them, but then about 6 months ago specifically, things started to speed up a little bit. Like I noticed things I was having some issues with like energy, muscle fatigue, and just all these things, and it had started to affect my mountain biking. And so that's when I was like, okay, something's wrong. And so I had started the process through my primary care physician and trying to get tests done, but everything came back clean. Like nothing presented itself as abnormal. And so I didn't forget about it, but I just kind of was like intermittently researching and stuff like that. So fast forward to about 2 months or so ago, and things just like freaking went on turbo drive. The symptoms started happening more frequently. They started to scare me. And so I booked an appointment with my primary care physician again, and my best friend and I sat down one night and I started to list all my symptoms. I created like the spreadsheet, and it was funny because it was 2 nights before my doctor's appointment that we did this. And then the following night, the night before, on Facebook, I think Johnny sent me the link about this breast implant illness. Never heard of it before. And I started going through it, and Johnny had texted me kind of at the same time, and she's like, oh my God, Donna, like this sounds just like what you're dealing with. And so I spent most of the night researching it, and the further into the hole I got, the more scared I got. And so I had my doctor's appointment the next day, went in there, talked to her, and she was very supportive. She kind of agreed that if I was experiencing all this, I had the implants, everything was kind of lining up. She fully supported my decision to get those out. And so she ordered a bunch of tests, blood, urine, and saliva tests. And so I started the ball rolling on getting those done. And she also started me on a very strict diet because I was presenting with some possible autoimmune stuff. And, with the rashes and stuff that I was having, it could be food related, which I'd never had that in the past, but this could trigger those things. And so she started me on that. I got home, I started that immediately. I scheduled my blood and all that. I started the saliva tests, though it's really hard. You have to spit into these little tubes all day long, and you're not allowed to have water for like 2 hours prior. But anyway, and then I started my research. I was looking for a doctor that I could go to, and I wanted in immediately. So there was like some key factors that I wanted. I wanted them to be very knowledgeable. I wanted them to respect my decision. I didn't want them to downplay it, and I wanted in now, and I wanted them to support the full in-block decision, which is where they don't just take out the implants, they take out the capsule that forms around them. And so gosh, I spent the next week probably just hammering the phones, calling all these different physicians all over the United States. And a website that came in really handy for me was Breast Implant Illness.com, and that's the one that Johnny had sent me. And it kind of like has everything all in one like location. I mean, you have like the physicians that you could go to, what to, you know, ask, things to expect, resources, all of that, all in one spot. So that was really useful for me. So anyway, long story short, I found my surgeon. He's in Vegas, which was fortunate for me because I have a support system in Vegas that I could, you know, utilize and save myself some money, because the surgery itself is not cheap. It's more expensive than the original surgery. And what was crazy is my symptoms just kept getting worse. In fact, you know, it was kind of why I was like trying to get scheduled, just because I felt like things were getting worse. And it's like you start to feel like, you know, I'd already expressed that I felt like I was dying. It was just like everything kept like speedballing, like just snowball so fast. And like the week leading up to my surgery, I couple of nights I got up in the middle and I told my husband, I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm questioning if I'm gonna make it till tomorrow. Like super fucking scary. One night I woke up and my arm was just throbbing, like the muscles in it just like super tight. I hadn't worked out, hadn't done anything. That was one of my bigger symptoms over the long term, was just like these weird muscle fatigues. Like after a workout, you know, you might be sore for a day or two normally, me a week. You know, where you can't like sit down and stuff like that. So super scary. I'll list symptoms like maybe over here next to my head, rather than going through them all individually, because that just takes the video to like 30 minutes. So I had full in block. They took out everything. I did have one complication that I know of so far, and that is that my pec muscles have retracted. That has nothing to do with this most recent surgery. Most likely has to do with my original one, and that maybe my implants were a little too big, or maybe something went wrong with stitching them back to my chest wall. But my implants were placed underneath the muscle, which is pretty common. And I've always felt something wrong there. Aside from the symptoms that I'll list over here, I did have chest discomfort. I would sometimes get this fluttering underneath my boobs, or like across the upper part of my chest or stomach. I would have pains in my breast area. And so with all the testing I had done prior to knowing about breast implant illness, I had a mammogram done 2 months ago. And come to find out, on this website, it does say that the use of mammograms, along with some other things, could trigger and or progress this faster. And so it's like, holy shit. Like, probably having that mammogram is what made everything kind of snowball so fast. And so, yes, I don't know. That's one thing about this disease, is there's like no definitive way to know that that's 100% what you're going through, because there's been no studies done, no support for it. And that's the scary part. And you start to feel like you're kind of going crazy, worrying that people believe what you're going through. But just in my experience, I've done some Facebook Lives after the surgery, and I've had so many women reach out to me and say that they've been going through the same thing, and they've either had the explant surgery already or they're looking into it, that they don't know what's going on with themselves. So it's scary stuff. My surgery, like I said, I only had that one complication with the pec muscles. Other than that, everything went well according to the surgeon. I am 2 weeks post-op. I have my next appointment on Tuesday. I'm hoping that I'll be released to be able to exercise, not the upper body, obviously, because my muscles are still out of whack, but able to elevate my heart above 100, because right now I'm not allowed to do that. So I can't even go for like a light stroll because my heart rate spikes. And I don't understand the complete reasoning behind that, but I trust the process. So yeah, like I said, I'll list the symptoms over here. Some of the things I thought it was before I knew about breast implant illness was adrenal fatigue. or some sort of autoimmune thing. I got my blood and hormone testing done. My cortisol came back out of whack. That could be because of this. It could not be. And so I also showed signs of like adrenal fatigue. And so currently I've already had the explant surgery, but we're starting a vitamin regimen to try and support my adrenals and try to get them, not fatigued and try to regulate my cortisol better. Because basically what my test came back is, so I'm really low in the morning when I wake up, and then I spike and stay high pretty much the rest of the day through the night, which it should be the opposite if I understand it correctly. It should be kind of go a little high in the morning, and then you start to mellow out towards the evening so you can go to sleep. So anyway, recovery time, I'm looking at like 6 total weeks, I think, before I'll be released to exercise like full on. And I think a lot of that's going to come with feel, like how it feels, rather than him going some arbitrary number and being like, you're good, because you could not be good. Everybody's different. So I'll go off of what he says and then how I feel. I really hope it's sooner than later because I'm going a little stir crazy. I'm a very active person, and it's killing me not to be able to be out on my bike. Plus, it's kind of like a release for me. It's how I let out aggression, stress, depression, all of that. And so I have no outlet right now. What were some, and so I think one of the scariest things was when it started to affect my passions in life, like, and that kind of goes with this, is, mountain biking is a big part of my life. I enjoy it. I love the people that I've met doing it. It allows me to be active, and it allows me to explore, which is like 2 of the biggest things that I love in life. And then also it affected my ATV racing. And so it just sort of affected my whole world. And that was when I realized something was wrong, is, when I'd be on a mountain bike ride and I'd be so tired right from the beginning, like no reason at all. I would hit failure really fast. You think of like a flowy trail, you kind of like hit some slight ups and then downs. It would only take like 2 or 3 of those and I'd be gassed and my legs just could not push, so I'd have to stop. In fact, Johnny and I went on one last ride before my surgery. I think my surgery was on Wednesday. We went on a ride on Monday in Vegas, and it was a beautiful ride, but it was a struggle bus for me. And in fact, I ended up not riding the next day because that was the plan. I was gonna get in as much riding as I could before the surgery, but it was so painful on Monday and I was so sore on Tuesday. And I've never been the type to get sore from a mountain bike ride. Like a CrossFit workout, okay. But like a mountain bike ride, no. And so we decided that it was probably best not to go into surgery depleted from a ride. And so we took Tuesday off. But it's just gotten progressively worse. So I'm hoping that this was the answer, and that once I get my body back to normal and not so fatigued, that it will kind of go back to normal, and I won't have these issues with like reactions to food or overreactions to the sun or trees, bushes out on the trail, that type of stuff. So I don't know, guys, I just wanted to update you. I'm going to try and take this time to catch up on all my videos because I have a lot of them. I still haven't finished the Idaho trip, and then I have some other rides that I did with groups since then. And so the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival is the beginning of March. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to ride there or not. That'll be kind of right around that 6-week mark, so we'll see. If I might go out there just to hang out, but if you see me out there or anywhere, don't be afraid to come up and say hi. And I appreciate all the feedback, support, love that I've received both on Instagram, Facebook, and just in general, like private messages, text messages, phone calls. It's all made a huge difference because this has been like a very emotional thing that I've been going through, and I just hope that I'm on the road to recovery. So one last little bit, I meant to touch on this during the video when I said that one of the pros for me having my surgery in Vegas was my support network there. So Johnny, my best friend, actually flew down from Idaho. Or actually, I'm sorry, she drove. She drove down from Idaho. She came to my race, my ATV race. And then we rode Monday, and she stayed for almost 2 weeks to kind of assist me with all the appointments before, during, and after my surgery. She helped with the cooking, taking care of me. I mean, all hours of the night the first few days. And so I just want to thank her so much for that, because I don't know what I would have been able to do without that support. And then also my aunt and uncle for allowing me to stay, for us to stay with them, utilize their kitchen, be all up in their space, and just to be understanding of the whole situation. So, you know, my husband stayed home to take care of our dogs, and also to, you know, he had jobs and stuff that he had to get done. So, you know, he supported in that way. And I really do think that Johnny being able to come down and help out made a huge difference for everything, you know, everyone involved. It allowed my husband to be able to take care of the things that he needed to do. Plus, Johnny has like a very caretaker way about her. She's like very good at it. She's thoughtful. She like thinks of things that you may or may not need. And so it made a huge difference having her there with me. I do wish we could have got to ride a little bit more, but I'll take what we could get. She was very understanding during the ride, very supportive. So I'll be planning hopefully a trip up there, or maybe her and Chris, her husband, can meet, you know, my husband and I somewhere like Utah, and we could do some rides once I'm able. But I just wanted to touch on that and thank those people for the support, because it made a huge difference for me. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. If you feel like it, give it a thumbs up. Hope you've subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you out there on the trail.